Well, I just got back from seeing Ghost at the Wembley Arena a couple of days ago, and oh my god, it was such a great event. Me and my girlfriend queued up for like at least 6 hours from start to finish, and we were, sort of 10 rows back from the front, right dead center. Totally worth it. If you are a Ghost fan, I'm just telling you now, if you've got tickets, you are in for a treat. So I'm not going to tell you anything too in-depth, because there's quite a lot of stuff that will come out when you're seeing them that are kind of surprise, costume changes and set things. I'm not going to cover that because it's a spoiler, and I don't want to do that to any fans who are going to see it, but I've got to say, I had to come and talk to you about it because it was just awesome. I need a place to vent, apparently. So to start with, first thing that everyone noticed when this tour got announced was the no phones thing, which initially we were a little bit, ooh, I don't know about that. I want a picture, I want some memories. And I don't know, over time, I came around to it more as a thought. I've been to a few gigs prior to this one that were no phones. I've seen Jack White like that, weirdly cheek face, who were quite small, but still. But you know what? It was so worth it. Even though we had to stand in the arena itself after we've had our phones put in their little wallets for a good couple of hours, without phones for entertainment or anything, it was so worth the trade-off because every single person, especially where we were standing, was so into it. You weren't looking at it through someone else's screen. You weren't constantly dealing with this right in the way when you're trying to see what's going on stage. Everyone was dialed in. The crowd was so pleasant. Honestly, the phone thing, absolutely worth the trade-off. They were pretty slick getting them in and out. If you're concerned about that and you're going to get tickets or you've got tickets, I wouldn't worry at all. It's definitely, I think the trade-off is worth it. So obviously this is the first time, well, one of the first performances of Papa 5, and to start with, we could just see, I don't know whether or not it's because you can now see much more of his face that you notice, but he was smiling quite a lot over the course of the thing. You could see he would like kind of get the audience to sort of sing something back to him. There's just this little crane of a smile in the corner of his mouth, which is actually really endearing and nice to see. His new persona, I mean, Papa 5 to start with is such a hilarious sleazebag in the way that he moves around. As we described him, he walks around cock first. There's lots of shoulders back, knob out, and leaning up towards the sky while he's singing, which I love. That it's very impressive how quickly he's able to switch between these personas. Like Papa's, I mean, I've seen the Papa's 3, 4, and 5 now live, and they have all got very distinct body language, which is, it's so clever to do that on top of the level of logistics when it comes to performing this stuff and singing, etc., etc. So Papa 5 was awesome. He was very charismatic. He probably spoke less than some of the previous Papas. I mean, don't take Right Here, Right Now as an example of how much he's going to talk about when you're looking at the film, because obviously he spoke up more for film reasons, but even when I've seen him before, this is probably one of the less chatty ones, but the trade-off is they did play like 20 songs in 2 hours, and it's not like Ghost have got a bunch of 2-minute songs. They those songs stuck around for a bit, so they were very efficient with that. There was not loads of pausing for conversation, but when he did, it was still quite impactful. In fact, he dropped some lore low-key whilst we're there, referring to Papa 1 as his uncle, which is kind of fun that ended up being the first time anyone's actually mentioned that, I think. So that was cool. The Ghouls, the new costumes, they're awesome. They were so charismatic again. I mean, it's the same set that has been with him for a while now, so I've seen this particular group of Ghouls a few times, but goddamn, the guitarists, the way that they're able to convey their like enthusiasm and keep the crowd engaged, and just generally speaking, they're charismatic without you being able to see their face or without them being able to talk, which is awesome. They cover for some moments where Papa clearly needs to get off stage for either a costume change or probably a wee or a glass of water at some point, and they do that very, very well. So they were awesome. The setlist was great. It was an interesting choice, starting with Peace Fields, which I guess as of the end of next week when the album comes out will be less of an interesting decision because people will have heard it, but that was obviously our first experience hearing that song, and it does feel like a very suitable, amazing kind of like high energy opener. But unfortunately, I think when we were seeing them, they were still dialing in some of the mixing for the arena, so I feel like a little bit of the treble got lost, maybe just where we were standing, but that one I didn't hear particularly well. But the energy was great. It seems like it's going to kind of fill this Kaiserian-esque space in Ghost's catalogue for the show opener. So that was cool. Straight into Lacrima, which is obviously amazing. It's a shame, again, the harmonies weren't as present as I hoped they would be, but that kind of got fixed over the course of the show, and it's teething problems. We saw like the third one on this tour, so I was actually waiting for there to be a few more logistical screw-ups, which ended up basically not manifesting. There was that one moment where the band kind of stood in the dark for about a minute waiting for the next cue, but it was pretty unobtrusive, and they picked up by the end. So I'd imagine, you give them another couple of weeks of doing this, and that stuff will all be completely weeded out, but Lacrima was great. The rest of the setlist was good. We also heard Umbra for the first time, which is also pretty awesome. Again, it's like a live context full stop is kind of difficult to pick up on the subtleties of a new song, but I like the vibe of it. It's got this it seems like they're really doubling down on that kind of 80s synth thing, which is really awesome. Again, I wouldn't spoil anything, but there are a couple of quite big set reveal changes that were just... I was expecting something, and they still blew my mind a couple of times. I just stood there and screamed at a couple of points. That was amazing. The crowd were lovely. Honestly, it might have been one of the best gigs I've ever been to, and that is saying something considering like I've said, this is my 5th time seeing Ghost, and yeah, no, it feels like they're in their final form almost. You know, he's been working towards getting to this version of Papa that doesn't have to have such an egregious, overly, covering mask now, which just feels like it spills into his enthusiasm when they're doing it. There's a couple of little bits of trickery here and now and then, which I won't explain or spoil, but my girlfriend and I had quite a lot of fun trying to figure out how stuff was done over points, which is fun. It's like seeing a magic show almost. I can only say that the Skeletour was... God, I mean, I don't believe in 10 out of 10s, because to me 10 is perfect, and perfect is an abstract concept that can never be achieved. So not a 10, but I'm going to go ahead and give that a straight up 9. That was awesome. I loved it. Go and see it. Give Ghost some love. Don't lament the phone thing. You can get I went to work the next day and I showed people what I'd seen by just going on their Instagram and showing them the pictures that they'd taken, which were much better than anything I could have done anyway. They just had to take my word for it where I was standing. But yeah, I think that's probably my little rant about this. I just needed to get that out into the space and hopefully trigger a conversation. Anyone else in the comments who have seen Ghost, either on this tour or the tours previously, let me know. What do you think? Are you excited to go see them? Do you like the new Papa in his stage performances? What do you think of the new Ghoul attire, the new set? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all of that crazy stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.